We are live. Let's check. I'm testing out Twitter. Let's check Twitter. See if I can see myself on there. I know I'm on YouTube. Am I on Twitter? Is it working? That was so exciting to be live on. Here we are. Little delayed, I think. Okay, cool. Hello, Liberty Ninja. Hi Alex. I want to apologize because I said, how is everything? How's the sound and picture? My internet is very, very funky right now. Hello. I did want to apologize because I had it posted that I was going to be live last night. So if anyone saw that, I wasn't. It is okay, perfect. I really, really apologize. I am back in Virginia, back in the country, and I'm going live on a hotspot. So it was painfully slow yesterday and just was not working. So again, I just want to apologize. But hey, we're here, impromptu live. So I'm glad you guys are here. Hi, Mark. Sounds good, looks good. Okay, great. Sounds good. Voice is a little bit wonky, but it's okay. We can see your face. I'm so sorry. So what happens? Oh, I mean video. Yeah, the video might be a bit wonky. So what happens is I'm live on a hotspot and my freaking cell phone carrier lied to me because I'm supposed to have unlimited hotspot access, 5G. But what happens is I'll overuse it for the month and then it gets really, really slow towards the end of the month if I overuse it. So that was my fault. I apologize. But we'll be back to normal in about a week. No, it's not good. Video isn't the greatest. I am so sorry. This is why I wasn't live last night. Okay. We're okay on Twitter. I'm also testing out going on Twitter. Not good, not the greatest. Okay, I apologize about that. Anywho, thank you guys for joining impromptu. There was a lot going on. I do that all the time with my career. Yeah, well, I'm way out here, so internet just isn't the greatest. I use my hotspot, but then I run out of hotspot usage for the month. So when I'm regular, it's fine. The speed is okay, but when I'm out, it's just my connection just gets super duper slow. So there's that. Anywho, thank you guys for joining. Let's get started. Let's just talk about random stuff today. So everyone is talking about COVID lockdowns coming back, mask mandates coming back, all that jazz. So is it coming back? I don't know. We first heard this. Well, people started slowly rolling out their mandates. And then we first heard this from Alex Jones, who I can't even remember what show he was on, but he essentially said he talked to a whistleblower or someone with inside information with a big airline agency, or they work within the airlines, and they told him that it's coming around September or sometime in the fall, or I believe latest December, that they were going to go back to full on lockdown. So is that true or not? Is that coming back? I don't know, but I'll tell you what we do know. I apologize for the technology. This was impromptu. But what we do know is whitehouse.gov updated this a few hours ago, and they put on whitehouse.gov, you can go there and look at it if you want, National COVID-19 Preparedness Plan. Now, within this plan, it's very long. There's a lot to read, but you can go through it a little bit, and it has several points to it. So it has protect against and treat COVID-19. It has prepare for new variants, prevent economic and educational shutdowns, and continue to vaccinate the world. So essentially what it says, if you go through it, it doesn't say that things will be, hi sir TDS, It doesn't say that things will be locked down, but it does say they all of a sudden have all of these new booster shots for these new variants that you're reading about. Hi, John. Long time no see. Hope you're. Thank you. I'm very well. So we have these new variants that are going around. You're going to see news stories pop up here and there. COVID cases are rising. Everything's rising. So they do have all of these boosters, and it looks like mainly Moderna for a new round of boosters that they're encouraging people to get in the fall for these new variants. They also have tons of PPE stuff already ordered. And I'll just read you. This is from Reuters. So this actually, before we get to Reuters, this is a random headline that I picked up. All Americans need to get COVID-19 boosters. This is Joe Biden. Okay. And then this is Reuters. Am I saying it? I never know if I'm saying that correctly. It says Biden administration to urge Americans to get new COVID-19 boosters. And it says the official said White House, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are reporting an increase in infections and hospital admissions from the virus. Overall levels remain low. On Thursday, and this article came out August 20th. So that was Thursday the 17th they're referring to. Moderna said initial data showed its updated COVID-19 vaccine is effective against Eris and Fornax subvariants in humans. So that's what we do know. Do with that what you will. We also know that mask mandates are starting to come back. So you have here, New York Post, major movie studio brings back mask mandate amid COVID-19 cases. Rioters in 2020 were treated as if they were immune to COVID. Oh, I know. I lived in West Hollywood. Do you remember the 20,000 people that walked? Let me tell you what happened. Okay, so I lived in West Hollywood 2020, and it was like living in the Twilight Zone. Let me explain. Because our mayor at the time, Eric Garcetti, was super strict. Los Angeles was super shut down. I was actually there last week, and there are still places, they still haven't fully recovered. I walked through West Hollywood. That was my old neighborhood, and I've read it before and I saw it with my own eyes. About 30% of the businesses shut down and haven't opened back up. Yes, there are still things open, but a lot of stuff has changed. For instance, you go down the Sunset Strip, a lot of restaurants that used to be open for lunch, they don't open for lunch anymore. They'll open at 4 and 5 p.m. Places that used to be open for lunch, and a lot of businesses are gone. One of my favorite hotels, the Standard Hotel, that shut down. They couldn't afford their rent. Doesn't look like they're coming back. And I actually stayed at a really nice hotel, the Sunset Marquis. Really cool hotel, one of my favorites. It's a musical hotel. Their occupancy was so low, they gave me a pretty sweet suite. They literally gave me a suite all by myself. And I didn't pay any extra for it. It was just their occupancy was so low. So yeah, a lot of things definitely changed. But back to what you were saying, rioters were treated as if they were immune. Yeah. So Eric Garcetti, our mayor, got on television and said, if you have people over at your house, we're going to shut off your water. We're going to shut off your electricity. Literally said that. Okay. And I can't even remember the exact timeline. I don't know if it was that same week or if it was a week later or 2 weeks later. That was when you saw, I don't know if you remember, in Hollywood, they did this like overview drone shot of 20,000 people marching down the street for BLM. And did they get in trouble? Oh no. He actually went out and did a photo op with them. In the same breath, while he was telling people, if you have anyone over at your house, I'm going to turn off your water. I mean, and people defended that. Like the people, because who was it that was like majorly, we need to lock down, you need to social distance and wear your mask? It was liberals. But who was also in the protests? It was liberals. So hypocritical. but it's important because it's a movement. What is your movement? I don't know. Thank you so much, Dommy McDoom. Love you, Sarah. Thank you for your live streams and standing with goodness and truth. If you're ever in Nashville, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for the super chat and thank you for the comment. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, so it was like living in the Twilight Zone. It was so odd. And if you said anything against it, even to the super maxed up social distance, you need to stay home and get 25 boosters. If you said anything to any of those people about that, they were like, but it's a movement. Okay. And if you lived in West Hollywood, a lot of people, it's really interesting because a lot of our protests happen around. So West Hollywood is a big, they have a big Pride festival every year. And obviously that got canceled, right? Because we were all locked down. And the peaceful protesters were totally hijacked by people that wanted to party for Pride, and they totally used that. It was a lot of people that used the protests as an excuse to party. So there's that. And it was funny too because we started in Los Angeles, we started to open back up again, and and it was almost 2 weeks to the day where all of a sudden, to the day of the protest, where all of a sudden we had to close everything down again because cases started, what do you call it? Multiplying? I can't think right now, but cases started multiplying. They had more COVID cases. That's what I meant. What was also weird too was, the protests, the way that they manifested were a little bit different. And here's my favorite thing. My favorite thing, I think I still have the headline somewhere. I actually sent it to a local news person. My favorite thing was I got this email from the West Hollywood it was like the Business Coalition or something, and they were just warning businesses that BLM, they were going to have a disco party outside at night. They had a BLM disco party outside at night, and that was okay. That was totally fine. You can have a disco party complete with a DJ. By the way, I think only about 10 people showed up to that. I saw the video footage. I wish I had it for you right now. It was pretty funny. And I will say they did social distance because there were only like 10 of them, and it was outside on a huge intersection. BLM disco party. So brave. So powerful. So powerful. But what was also crazy, again, the protests that went into rioting, and the way that it was where I live, the people during the day, they were protesting, whatever. I disagree with them, but whatever, you can protest. To be honest, I didn't mind. I was not all for locking down anyway. So I'm like, well, that's entertaining. At least I get some action in my neighborhood. But what I don't like are, the rioting and hurting stuff and hurting people. What was really wild is, so the regular protesters, the useful innocents is what I call them, were out protesting during the day. And then obviously at night, the rioters came out and my entire neighborhood was destroyed and busted up. My boyfriend and I actually got stuck in it. We didn't even know. I'm sure you remember those images in Los Angeles of people on top of cop cars, putting them on fire or setting them on fire and things like that. That was my neighborhood. And I remember I'm sitting there in my apartment waiting for my boyfriend to pick me up to take me to his house. And I'm looking at the news and I'm making my little YouTube videos at the time. So, I'm keeping up to date with the news and I'm talking about the riots. And then all of a sudden I'm on my computer and I'm like, oh man, that's Los Angeles. That looks horrible. That looks awful. And then I was like, oh, that's my neighborhood. That's literally right outside. And then the police siren started and they didn't stop. And my boyfriend comes and he goes, come outside now. So we get in his car and we're driving actually in the opposite direction as to where all this stuff is happening. We're about a mile away. No, maybe a little bit less than a mile away, going in the opposite direction. So I'm thinking we're probably okay, right? This is centralized. Oh no, it wasn't centralized. It was so spread out. We got stuck while we were trying to get out of West Hollywood, we were at an intersection. Our car was just completely stopped in the intersection. We were surrounded by over 100 people. We couldn't go anywhere for about, it felt like forever, but it was honestly probably about maybe 5 to 7 minutes. But we were stuck there. A guy actually knocked on our window and told my boyfriend, hey, you have a really nice car. You're going to want to get out of here. There's a lot of people behind me, which was like, oh, great. And that was after we had just driven through what looked like a war zone. So there were buildings on fire in my neighborhood. All the windows were busted up. There was a cab. There was what all cops are bastards or pigs or whatever it is they say. Anarchy sign, just all of that all over my neighborhood. And these were people that didn't live in my neighborhood. They came to my neighborhood and did that. They didn't live there. And what was wild is that, this just goes to show that a lot of people that hold local office, a lot of elected officials, in my opinion, have no business being elected officials and have no business holding public office if you're putting your ideology, if you're drunk on the ideological Kool-Aid and you're not putting your people first. Like, what kind of crazy person dismisses the fact that people came to our neighborhood and attacked it? That should be a time when everyone in your neighborhood, including elected officials, bands together and says, hey, this is wrong. But no, they totally put all that under the rug and supported BLM, even though 2 years later, one of the Los Angeles organizers of BLM actually admitted that West Hollywood was targeted on purpose. And there was a reason for that. Not only that, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of Republicans don't even know this because it wasn't reported on. In West Hollywood, there's this area called the Fairfax District, and this is a historic Jewish area. There's a lot of synagogues, a lot of Jewish-owned businesses, and that area was attacked. There was every synagogue in that area was vandalized. There was anti-Semitic things spray painted all over. There was, and I know this because I was there the next day, and then I researched it. This was for someone just asked what happened. What happened, I was just talking about the 2020 riots in my neighborhood in West Hollywood. Every single synagogue was vandalized, and a lot of people don't know that. Again, because it wasn't the only publications I could find that even reported on that were Jewish publications. It just wasn't reported on. So just put that into perspective for a second. This is West Hollywood. Okay. So this is the freest country in the world. And this is West Hollywood, one of the most liberal cities in all of the USA. And that happened. Pretty crazy. Oh, and there was a card. I know this because I went there the next day to help clean up. But there was a makeshift. This is one of the more disturbing things that I saw. There was a makeshift cardboard sign on a nursing home in the Fairfax district that said, we have sick and elderly here. Please leave us alone. That was pretty crazy. And the next morning, when I went back to help clean, I mean, the fire trucks were still out. The sprinklers, when the fire starts and the sprinklers go, the sprinklers were still going. It was still smoldering. So pretty crazy. And what was, again, just another layer of Twilight Zone. It could be an episode of the Twilight Zone, is all of my liberal friends that literally lived like 2 blocks from where all this happened. They had no idea it happened. They had no clue that all of this destruction happened in their neighborhood. And what do you think they did on J6? We need law and order. Law and order. This is horrible. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, do you know what happened to your very own neighborhood? And think about it. I'm going to answer this in just a second. I talked about, excuse me. I'll answer that. Hold on. I'll just finish this. Again, put that into perspective. When it happens to regular people, to small businesses, to civilians, to your neighborhood, when people are being terrorized, you will ignore that. Yet when the powerful people, the people in the Capitol building, And I do not like violence. That is my hard line. I don't care whether I agree with you or not. No violence, none. And there were parts of J6 that were violent, that were very hard to watch. Don't agree with it. But what I found interesting is you are okay with the violence when it happens to innocent people, like civilians, but when it happens to powerful politicians who encourage this, all of a sudden, we need law and order. Like, just think about that for a second. You're a little pawn, you know? Okay, Sarah, what happened to your live stream last night? I am so sorry about that. That's why I got live today. I'm just having, excuse me, I'm having like serious internet issues. It's okay today. I wanted to test it out today. So I'll probably be back tonight. I'll let you know if I am. And it just wasn't happening. So I apologize about that. That's my fault. I actually didn't even sleep well because of that. So I'm sorry about that. It was technical difficulties. I'm a one-man band and I am on a hotspot. I'm not even really on the internet. I'm on a hotspot coming from this guy. Okay. BLM had anti-Israel portion in their official platform. What is Israel? I don't know. I've tried to figure out where that comes from. I don't know, but there is an underlying thing in there, and you're right. I don't know where it comes from. You know what's really interesting? Do you guys remember the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial? Amber Heard had this really annoying friend, Eve Barlow, I think her name is. And I do believe she's Jewish. And even she actually had a tweet. The one thing I agreed with her on, she actually had a tweet where she called it out. She said, BLM has some stuff going on with what you just said at the bottom. And she's right, they do. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know why. But Ari, shoot, what is his name? Ari, I can't remember his name, but he's a journalist that I really, really like and respect. And he actually went in and he has a 20-minute documentary that's on YouTube, and he went into LA and sort of investigated what happened, what BLM is all about. And he actually talked to one of the local organizers. And she admitted that, remember, certain areas were targeted for certain reasons. She admitted it, but she would refuse to go any further. So, yeah, there's something going on there. I haven't spent too much time looking into it, but there's something there for sure. Amber Heard, the lady that united someone. She is. That's a good point. Amber Heard, the lady that united some on the left and the right on the internet. Isn't it beautiful? It's so beautiful. See, she did good. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, the phrase Black Lives Matter is 100% true, but BLM, the organization, is another thing. Yes, and that's really important. And it's really smart the way that they title that organization, because they do that. Because if you don't agree with the organization, people are saying, oh, you don't think Black Lives Matter? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't like this particular organization. There's some stuff going on, and they're a Marxist organization. Earlier today, if you guys want to look into it, look up the Strategy Center, look up Eric Mann, Eric, M-A-N-N, Eric Mann. This is what some might say. He is the puppet master behind BLM. And we did a live stream on this a long time ago where we did a deep dive into the origin of BLM. So Eric Mann has this place in Los Angeles called the Strategy Center. Patrisse Khan-Cullors, one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, actually, she went there and she has publicly said, this is all online, you can look up all of this. She has publicly said that he is her mentor and that she is a trained organizer. So Eric Mann is a self-proclaimed communist. He organizes movements and he uses words. So he actually said this. He will use words and language to win arguments and to gain power. These are all his words. For instance, I'll give you an example. Well, he gave an example way back in the day. It was a university that they were building a gym and they didn't want the gym built for some reason. So what they did is they tied it to race and they called it Jim Crow. They were like, "Oh, you want Jim Crow? You want Jim Crow?" And people were like, "No, we want the gym. Oh, you want Jim Crow?" See, you play with words enough, you say it so many times that now if you say, "No, I just want the gym." "Oh, you want Jim Crow?" And that silences people, that gives you power over them. That way you can win the argument. What do they do with, okay, so for instance, police are systemically racist. Police are systemically racist. Police are systemically racist. And then you say, but no, I want police. I think they're good. Oh, you're for systemic racism. They do the same thing with Donald, and he has admitted this. So the name is very strategic. They do the same thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a white supremacist. Donald Trump's a white supremacist. Donald Trump's a white supremacist. Oh, I like Donald Trump. Oh, you support a white supremacist? You're a white supremacist? See how they do it? And that's how they win, and it works. It's a dumb strategy. It's a dishonest strategy, but it works. Look how many people still, with everything we know, with all the information we have, sir, how many people still have TDS? And how many people still think that he's blah, 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 even though his platform was essentially a liberal platform years before. Like Donald Trump wasn't really that much of a right-wing person. His platform was actually pretty liberal. Donald Trump was actually the first presidential candidate in U.S. history to be pro-gay marriage, all that stuff. Random question. Do you watch Salty Cracker or Mark Dice? I don't really watch Mark Dice. I haven't watched Salty Cracker recently, but I really like him. He's really funny. I feel like I couldn't get away with half the stuff that he says, but he cracks me up. Actually, anytime I need to just lighten up a little bit, I need to watch. I haven't watched him recently, but he's someone that would actually help me lighten up a little bit. Yeah, John says they repeat it often enough, people believe it. That's their strategy. It is their strategy. And it's funny because his training center is called the Strategy Center. And remember, Patrisse Khan-Cullors admitted that she's a Marxist. And that's the thing. So many people, they support BLM. They have no idea what they're supporting. They have no clue. And they'll sit there and tell someone like me or you, they'll say, you need to educate yourself. Honey, I know more about BLM and this little pinky finger than you do in your whole head. Like I did the work, I did the research, and I know exactly what the organization, well, I don't know exactly everything, but I know what the organization is. And even still, the fact that people support the organization, it just blows my mind. Everything we know, they haven't done anything. They have done nothing. They haven't built any community centers. They haven't built any after school programs. They have done nothing. And just about every single city that they had mass protesting, mass riots, look at the crime statistics now. Look at the crime in those areas. Let's look at Los Angeles. You know, you have George Gascon. Really just lovely stand-up guy, George Gascon. Okay. So George Gascon and a lot of these rogue DAs, they run on criminal justice reform and they use race as a way to push, I say it in air quotes, criminal justice reform. Yeah, and they say that our prisons are overpopulated with whatever demographic, disproportionately populated with so and so demographic. So they use that as a way to push their criminal justice reform, which is really just light on crime. That's all it is. But who do these policies hurt more? Okay, look at Los Angeles. Los Angeles, 90% of, by the way, when you're looking at crime statistics, one of the things you really want to look at is the homicide rate, because what happens, and this is how they trick you too, what happens is they decriminalize things. So all of a sudden they're not classifying it the same way. And also what happens is crime gets so high and people are used to police taking too long or people just being let out that they're not reporting as much crime. So your statistics naturally are going to go down, not because crime is less, because you're categorizing it differently and people aren't reporting it the same way. So what you always want to do is you want to look at your homicide rate. That you can't hide that. It is or it isn't. So Los Angeles, 90% of homicide victims are Black and Hispanic men. Okay. So right after George Gascon gets elected, he's in there, his policies are working. We got the defund the police going and working. All of a sudden, what happened? Now, Los Angeles, or this was a year ago, I think it got a little better, but it's still not where it was a few years ago. Now, all of a sudden, Los Angeles is at a 15-year high in homicides. And who are the victims? So the BLM stuff, the defund the police, the soft on crime DAs, all that stuff is just BS. It's all BS. They just use it. But I think they use race because it's a really, really powerful thing. That's one of the worst things that you can call someone is the big R word. Yeah, it's Hispanic on Hispanic, it's Black on Black. So again, it goes back to the same exact thing. Who loses? It's the victims. They might commit more crime, but there's also more victims. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. Saying that, being honest, is a way to find solutions. And what are solutions? Solutions would probably be, I don't know, going into those communities and having alternative things, community centers, like whatever it is, but just letting people out of jail and not prosecuting crime is not helping anything. It makes everything more dangerous. And again, who are the victims? To be, oh gosh, you have to be anti-capitalist to be anti-racist. Ugh. It's all just, and it's funny too because if you go into I can't tell you how many videos I've seen online where you'll go into a very gentrified upper middle class area and they'll say, "Do we need to defund the police?" Yes, we need to defund the police. And then you go into a high crime, low income area, no matter what race it is in that area, and you're like, "Do you want to defund the police? Are you crazy? You must be crazy." I can't Yeah, I can't stomach him too much. I really admire the people that are able to like read stuff like, the white fragility and stuff like that. It's really hard for me to stomach it. I think I'm too sensitive. I get so mad. Uh, and it's funny because it's always the people that follow those things that they think they're the resistance. I'm like, you're not the resistance. You're just doing whatever the mainstream media tells you to do. One of my favorite things, ugh, I lived in West Hollywood. I lived in Protest Central. So the protesters, but again, I don't mind the protesters. I really don't. Are they a little annoying? Yeah, I don't like it when they block traffic. I don't like it when they're, taking up police or whatever. Hi, Dan. But I honestly don't mind them. If anything, it's a little bit of action. I like action. But I remember in 2020, our protest lasted for a full on week. I think every day people were out there, and it wasn't always big. Sometimes it was just like 20 or 30 people blocking an intersection in the most liberal city. Like, what? Who? What are you doing? You're barking up the wrong tree. Everyone here agrees with you. But one day, so we had our night of rioting, and after that, we actually had the National Guard come out, and we had a curfew of, I think it was like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. It was pretty wild. Um, but there were still the protesters that were going out. And one time essentially like my front yard of my apartment complex, and a lot of the protesters had sort of spilled out. I lived in residential streets, but they had kind of spilled out onto our streets, whether they were going back to their car or walking somewhere else. And this girl had a sign, and it said she was asleep in her bed. She was referring to Breonna Taylor. And at that point, it had been well known for months that, like, the police reports had come out, like, it was documented that she wasn't asleep in her bed. Um, and that's just a really basic fact. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, you got dressed, you went outside in the summer heat, you got a marker and a poster board. Did you have to buy it? Did you have it? You made a sign and you spent all this effort for something you believe in, but you don't even know the basic facts of what you don't even know what you're protesting. You have no idea. And it just and what's interesting too is there was someone in the summer of 2020, and it had happened before this. There actually was someone who, really tragic, really sad, was shot in their sleep in their bed in the afternoon, and it was a 4-year-old, Legend Talaferro. But nobody cared about that. Like, the kids never matter. That's what really, really bothers me. The kids never matter. There was another little girl, Sequoia Turner, 8 years old, who, you guys remember Rayshard Brooks? So Rayshard Brooks happened in Atlanta. So afterwards, they were protesting Rayshard Brooks, and the protesters, they burned down the Wendy's at where it happened, and they basically just like commandeered that whole area. They took over that whole area, and the city of Atlanta let him do it. The police, just like they did in all these other areas, the police stood down and let them commandeer this area. I think it was like a few days that they had it, maybe even longer than that. I'd have to look it up again. It was a while ago. But they blocked off that whole area. It was the night of the 4th of July. Sequoia Turner, little 8-year-old, it was about 9 p.m. and she was with her mom. I believe her aunt. It was two women in the car. One was definitely her mom, and they were driving home from fireworks and stumbled upon this barricade, this commandeered area, and were trying to turn around to get out of there. Shots started being fired. I don't think they were shooting at the car. I think it was each other, but they got caught in the crosshair. And little Sequoia was shot. She died. Um, and nobody cared about her. There were no protests for her. There was nothing for her. In fact, how ironic, this was a demonstration for BLM, yet nobody came forward. It took them over a year to make an arrest. The poor parents had to put up billboards in Atlanta, had to go on press conferences right after their daughter passed away to beg people to come forward. No one would come forward. And there were witnesses, but no one came forward. Yeah, over a year to get an arrest. And I remember actually bringing up that story, and I was called the big R word for bringing up a story about a little girl. Unbelievable. Shame, 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 shame. The REI and both Walmarts have closed in Portland due to crime and looting. Yep. I read those stories. Chicago too, all the Walmarts in Chicago. Here's what's interesting about Chicago. So I'm sure you guys read the stories of all these Walmarts shutting down and people were outraged. Well, they tried to shut them down. Actually, I think it was a little bit after the riots because they had similar problems. There was so much theft that they couldn't stay open, but the people in the surrounding areas begged them to stay open, and they ended up staying open. Well, just to have to shut down again a year or two later because all the crime continued. And they're like, we can't do business here anymore. Why would you? What are Did Soros fund the powers that be in Chicago? I do think they have a rogue DA in Chicago. They also had Lori Lightfoot for a while. I kind of miss her. I do. She was very entertaining. She gave me lots of content to make. But I mean, again, the people of Chicago right now, they're dealing with a migrant issue. And you have a lot of low income residents that are really upset because now you have migrants that are in their old school buildings, in their police stations, in their neighborhoods, causing issues. And they're upset, but they voted. I remember when I found out Lori Lightfoot was not going to be up for reelection, I was like, wow, maybe the residents of Chicago finally they finally got it together. They're going to vote for something better. And then they vote for what's his name? Brandon Johnson. That guy. Brandon Johnson. I can't even take him seriously. I can't, like, who, what? They voted for Brandon Johnson. Cuomo Lightfoot 2024. The debates would be golden. You know who actually has gotten a little bit better? I think it's because he's not on CNN, is Chris Cuomo. What? Is he on News Nation? I think he's on News Nation. He's actually he used to be just completely insufferable. He's a little bit better now. I'm not defending him by any means, but I can handle him a bit more now that he's not talking about politics all the time or Trump. Yeah, that would be a good, I would love to see that debate. Are you okay, Sarah, are you excited for this week's Republican vice presidential debate? Yes, I am. Okay, who's debating? Okay, full disclosure here. I have not been keeping up with the vice presidential candidates. So who do we have? Can you tell me who we have? I guess the Democrat voters in the big cities are getting what they deserve. Unfortunately, it affects everyone. Yeah, that's what's really sad. And for a while, like, I hated that, well, you voted for it. But at the same time, it's like you have to pay attention. Over are the days where you can't pay attention. We have so many ideological rerees, people that have no business in public office, people that are not very smart, that are running in these local elections and they're winning and they're ruining these cities because people just, what is the saying? You just vote blue no matter who. That's what it is. They just keep voting Democrat and keep voting Democrat, and they're not paying attention to who they're voting for. For instance, Brandon Johnson in Chicago, he talked about sanctuary cities and all of this stuff while he was running. Joe Biden, and people are like shocked that this is happening. Joe Biden ran on open borders. The Democratic primary debate, there was a question asked, and the question was, would you give free health care to illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants? Every single Democratic candidate that was primarying raised their hand and said yes. I watched a documentary, and that video clip was used by a smuggler to try to sell a trip to the USA. And if you're paying attention, you see what was about to happen. And that was my biggest fear when Biden got elected. I was optimistic that maybe he would just be a lame duck Democrat and nothing would really happen. But my biggest fear was the border, just because I just saw it coming, and people just don't pay attention. And they think, oh yeah, we want to help, we want to help immigrants. Being pro immigrant is different than being pro illegal immigrant. Those are two totally different things. I am very pro immigrant, very much so. Most of my friends in Los Angeles were immigrants. Most of my friends in Georgia, where I grew up, were immigrants. My family immigrated here in Ellis Island, my great grandfather. Their names are still in the book. I'm very pro immigrant. I am not pro illegal immigrant, because why? We only have so many resources. You can't just open the border and look what's happening in all these cities. All these people who voted for these individuals, now they're reaping the rewards. But and what really bothers me, where it goes back to you get what you vote for, is even still you'll hear people in some of these cities, not everyone, but some of them will still say, "Well, I want them to come, just not here." What does that mean? So where are they going to go? Where do you suspect they're going to go? They have to go somewhere. Wait, Christy. Oh, Chris Christie. Who else? Chris Christie. Is it Nikki Haley? You can't be pro-immigrant and open borders at the same time. That's a really good point. Yeah, because I mean, it's a slap in the face to people that came here legally. And let's talk about our asylum system for a while. I think that's just a fine system, but our government doesn't enforce it the way that it's supposed to be enforced. And people obviously abuse and they fraud the system, which is causing what's happening right now. I'm pro asylum. You know what I would love to do? You know, those girls in Afghanistan or the girls in the Middle East that were being attacked for going to school? I would love to bring them over and educate them. I would love that. To me, that is someone that deserves asylum, or people that are religiously persecuted, all kinds of things. I'm very pro that, obviously in a common sense way. But what's happening is now you have people that are just completely flooding and frauding our system. And now those people are less likely to have a chance to come here. And it's a slap in the face to legal immigrants, especially. I've watched several interviews with people that immigrated here legally from Venezuela and New York City, and they're really freaked out. They're like, I know what's coming over the border. Does that mean everyone? No. But enough to worry you. They're like, I escaped this violence, and now the violence is coming to me. Oh, okay. Larry Elder, Tim Scott, Pence, DeSantis will tap out, though I like most of them. Yeah, I saw Larry Elder had a video today that he was trying to get in on the debates, but he's not able to for some reason. I would love to see a Larry Elder debate. He's very smart. Yeah, I would like to see a Larry Elder debate. But I'm sad that he might not be able to. I think he's still going to try. Oh, and you know, and speaking of New York City, this was, let me find it. This was New York Post New York Post today. 82% of New Yorkers call migrant influx a serious problem. 58% want to stop the flow. And again, like, how many probably voted overwhelmingly for Joe Biden? That's just the thing. Like, people vote Democrat, and Republicans do it too, I'm sure. I'm not just saying Democrat. Hello. Oh, back in stock. Sweet confections from, I don't know what that is. But I just got a text notification that something is in stock. How exciting. Yeah, they don't pay attention, and it's bad. You should never be blindly loyal to any party. That's how stuff like this that's how California happens, because they're just blindly loyal to the Democratic Party. So I don't do that. And I would, if there was a better Democrat running that I liked, I would vote for that Democrat. Sarah, did you hear about Dianne Feinstein's elder abuse case? We are voting clowns and left and right. I didn't hear about that, but I will tell you that woman has been in politics forever. Ever. I was watching actually a really good documentary, a docuseries on Netflix called The Night Stalker. Do you guys remember The Night Stalker in Los Angeles? She was in office. She was in that documentary. She was in office in California. She was in political office way back then. You know what's interesting? Okay, Vivek, I don't feel like I never say his name right, and I have two of his books. His books are really good. You know what's interesting? Vivek is smart, but has made some crazy statements on China policy, so he isn't ready to be president. What's interesting is whenever I talk about the candidates on my TikTok, everybody loves him on my TikTok. Everybody loves him. And I like him a lot, but I agree. There's just a few things. And the one thing that I will always like about Trump is he's really good with foreign policy. Say what you will about anything else, and I get it. A lot of people have criticisms. I do too. But as far as foreign policy, I really like him. But a lot of people they don't like the lockdowns, the vaccine, all kinds of stuff. And I get that. That's fair. Sarah, could Trump win the election behind bars? I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I don't know what the rules are there. That would be that would be really interesting to find out. I don't know. That's my pay grade. I'm blonde. I'm not a DeSantis hater though. Some populists like both Trump and DeSantis. My thing about DeSantis, I really like him, but I feel like I almost wish he just would have. I like DeSantis a lot. He's done a great job for Florida. His campaign kind of just flopped for some reason. His poll numbers are really, really bad. I thought they would be much better. And my initial instinct with him, again, it's not that I don't like him, but my initial instinct was I don't think it's his time. Because I think that a lot of the loyal Trump supporters, and I know people say, well, they need to stop supporting Trump. And again, I'm not defending anything. I'm just pointing out what's happening. But a lot of them feel like he's owed a second term and they want him to have a second term. And I would have much rather have seen them not feuding. And I think it really hurt his campaign a lot more than it hurt Trump's. And I think that where I worry with him again is just like foreign policy. And I think that it might have been smarter for him and for his popularity within the campaign to wait 4 more years. That's just me. But if you look at the poll numbers, I don't think I'm too wrong. Again, I'm not saying I think, I'm just saying. Oh, that's interesting. DeSantis got paid to run and try to divide Trump votes. That's why he's hated. Oh, I haven't heard that before. I mean, that's kind of what's happening. But again, his poll numbers are pretty low. I'm actually even surprised at how low they are. And this is not a defense or not a defense. I'm just talking about what is. Yeah, and I think what was I watching? Was it CNN or MSNBC where the hosts, they were kind of surprised. They were like, I think some people really did think the indictments were going to hurt Trump, but they haven't hurt Trump. They've made him more popular. And they're like, well, we thought with this last indictment, it was really going to hurt his poll numbers. No, because it's just making it really transparent, even to the people that don't like Trump, how unfair this is, or how it's clearly political. You know what? I agree, John. So let's see. Vivek, I never know if I pronounce it correctly. It doesn't stand a chance, but I like the fact that he knows it, so is willing to speak the truth. Yes, I love that he's in the mix. I love it. I love that he's in the mix. Does that mean I think he'll win or he has a chance? No, but I love that he's out there. I love that he's speaking. I love watching his interviews. I like that he's in the mix. So there's that. DeSantis needs to sue the DOJ for interfering with his chances. I think Vivek is great for a cabinet position. Oh, yeah. I like him a lot. Again, I have 2 of his books. Good books. I have Woke Inc. and Nation of Victims. Good books. I didn't get through Woke Inc. yet because it talks, there's a lot of corporate jargon in there. And I'm trying though. It's really good so far. I've learned a lot, but there's corporate jargon is, it's a little harder for me to get through. It's not my thing. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and head off. Thank you so much for joining. And I might see you later tonight. I might not. I'll put a little thing up. Now that I know I'm good and I'm working, that's good news. And then if I'm back tonight, we'll have some media and stuff to look through. We can talk about Biden visiting Maui because that was a whole thing. He also rapped "Lose Yourself." I saw that. Okay, before I go. Oh, thank you so much. I was okay. I should have said something. I apologize, you guys. I'm embarrassed, so I apologize. And that wasn't cool of me to not say anything. Okay, before we go, would you like Glenn Youngkin to run? I don't know about that. And it's funny because I'm in Virginia right now. I don't know about that. There's a stream tonight? Yeah, I'm going to try to, but I'll let you know before I go because I don't want to say it and then not be. Kelly, hi. Okay, let me ask. Hi, Kelly. It's been so long. Yeah, life happened. Technology happened. Okay, wait, what was it? Okay, Vivek singing or rapping "Lose Yourself" at the Iowa State Fair. Was it cringy or was it cool? I want to know. If anything, it was very brave. For the Senate, yes, it's needed, Youngkin. Cool or cringy, Vivek? Rapping "Lose Yourself." Hello. Now I have the new people I haven't seen joining. It's cringe. Vivek has a future in politics for sure. I do agree with that. I think he has a future in politics. And again, I like that he's in the mix. Now my old buddies are joining and I don't want to get off. I couldn't decide if I thought it was cool or cringe. Vivek, attorney general, but not foreign policy. Yeah, a lot of people are a little bit iffy about his foreign policy. Oh, another thing about the migrant crisis in New York City, I saw a video yesterday of, it was a single dad with his 8-month-old son, and he's in the New York City shelter program. They actually put him in one of the hotels that's housing the migrants. And for him, it was nice because he had his 8-month-old baby, and he said, it's a clean room, TV, clean room, nice, safe, at least in the room. I don't know about the rest of the hotel. But he said we can go downstairs and get food. And he actually got kicked out of that location and they put him in a new location and he showed it on camera. And it was this horrible, dirty, just unsafe, roach infested apartment. And he said, the way that he did it was pretty cool. He said, look, I'm not complaining, but why is it that they are staying in this 4-star hotel and I got kicked out and my baby, 8-month-old baby, it's just him and his baby, we are in this infested, dirty apartment that is just not safe for my baby to be here. Yeah, he could clean it, but it was infested. I saw that yesterday and that makes me angry. Someone said, at least pick a newer song. Oh, there was another thing. Okay, cringe or cool. It was, I wonder if I can find the video. Hold on. Oh, I can't. It was, is she a senator or a congresswoman? I can't remember. Cat something, who came out dancing to Lizzo. She was at some kind of event. I don't know if she was with her constituents, but she is definitely a politician. I do believe she's out of Florida. I can't remember if she's congresswoman or Senate. So if you know, let me know, because I haven't kept up with her recently. I just saw her random video of her coming out and dancing to Lizzo. I'm like, Lizzo of all people? This is Republicans? You're in front of conservatives? Lizzo? Yes, Vivek is a good debater. I am excited to see him debate. Very much so. She was karaokeing WAP. It wasn't WAP, but it was Lizzo. And WAP is Cardi B. Oh, wow, this is interesting. So CNN makes a shocking pivot, says they're perplexed by the corruption coming out of the Department of Justice as they continue to cover up for the Biden crime family. Wow.
Ellie, glad you stuck around here. So when we look at this evolution, it really is quite the evolution in a fairly short period of time, according to the New York Times. I know you've noted on multiple occasions just how long this investigation had dragged on. Have you ever seen a federal case play out like this before?
No, Erica, it's really inexplicable to me. I mean, first we had basically 5 years of behind the scenes investigation with no transparency, no action, and some questions being asked. What's taken so long? But in the last couple months, we've seen a pattern here, and Marshall just laid it out. We've now seen it play out 2 or 3 separate times. DOJ moves towards a very lenient disposition. They're just about to lock in that lenient disposition. And then there arises pressure, either through whistleblower testimony or through public scrutiny. And then DOJ backs off and says, actually, we're not going to do that now that it's been called out. We're going to try to up it a little bit. And then that happened again. And then they go all the way to appointing special counsel, the same guy who's been presiding over the case for 5+ years already. So I genuinely am perplexed by what DOJ is doing here. I think they've made a real mess for themselves, and now they're going to have to deal with the consequences of it.
So in terms of the mess and those consequences, look, public trust is certainly one of them. Is there anything that you see that DOJ could do, based on your experience, right, as a former federal prosecutor, to restore public confidence in this investigation? Is the only way to fix this a trial?
It may be, Erica. You know, DOJ's sort of been in a darned if they do, darned if they don't posture on this from the start, but they've made it way worse by sort of careening back and forth here. It may well be that any deal is never going to be accepted as fair. So if I'm in David Weiss's shoes here, heaven help me, I would just say, look, we're charging everything we have. We're not in position to make a deal. It'll go to trial, and we'll let the jury decide this. I think that's the only way to restore any credibility to this matter.
Ellie, appreciate it as always, my friend. Ellie,
Interesting. Yeah, that was CNN. Interesting. Not something I would expect to see on CNN either. All right, guys. I think it's time to go. John, both cool, cringy. Yeah. All right, you all. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to try to be back later. If I am, I will put up a notification and notify you. Thank you so much, Kelly. I miss you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Sorry I missed you today. I will try to catch you tonight. About what time can we see Eva? Yes, Eva is outside. Eva killed, she's been killing mice. She killed one last night. And I got her these treats with catnip in them, and she has an addiction. She's supposed to be losing weight, but she is addicted. Yes. So we'll go ahead and plan it. I'll put the poster up 8 p.m. Eastern, so 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be back. I know. And she's grown up 8 p.m. Eastern, and I'll put a card up to notify. Thank you very much. But she's outside right now. So tonight I'll bring her in and you can see her. But she had to go to the vet a few weeks ago, and she punished me for taking her to the vet. She peed and pooped in her carrier, and she does it in the car too. So she pooped on the way there, and we had to wait forever. So she's freaking out in her carrier. There's dogs all over the place. She doesn't like that. And then on the way back, she waited until we were in the car, and then she peed in the car. Did it get on the seat? Yep. Is the smell of cat urine one of the hardest things to get out? Yep. She punished me. I wasn't happy about it, but she's okay now. She's just enjoying life outside and killing mice and eating treats. And that's what she's doing. It's horrible. I still feel like I can smell it a little bit. And I did. I cleaned it for days and got everything I could. And I still feel like I can smell it a little bit. It's clean. Eva's still a diva. Yeah. Eva the diva. Eva the diva. Yeah, now she's a predator. I'm kind of proud of her because she used to thank you again, Kelly. She used to just kind of torture creatures, but she wouldn't actually go in for the kill. I think since she's been in the country, she's starting to go in for the kill now a little bit more. She's getting a little bit braver. And yeah, that's her 5th mouse. 5. Yeah, I'll leave the windows down. It's just, she waited until we were in the car. Like, at least if she did it at the vet, it would have been easy to clean. I would have cleaned it, but it would have been easy to clean. And then I tried to get her nails cut, and they could only do her back nails because she started attacking them. Hi from New Zealand. All right, you all. Well, so later tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll put a little card up, and I'll have some media and stuff. We can watch Biden's visit to Maui. That was a thing. Oh, she knew exactly what she was doing, Kelly. Oh, she knew what she was doing. She did the same thing. I had to fly with her. She did the same thing on the plane. She peed and pooped in her carrier, and she did it twice. No, just kidding. She only did it once. But she finally stopped meowing on the plane. I tried everything to calm her down, and unfortunately, I had to take her on the plane. But I don't think I'm going to take her on a plane again. I think she's going to stay put here, even though I'll be traveling back and forth. She finally calmed down. First, she kept trying to get out of her carrier, and I had one of those. It was a cloth one so that I could put her under the seat. And she knew it didn't have a lock on it, which was my fault, but she could open it with her paw. She figured out how to open it. So she kept trying to get out. And then finally, I got her calmed down. I fell asleep. I woke up right before we were landing, and it smelled horrible. And I was like, somebody stinks. Somebody on this plane stinks so bad. And then I was like, it's me and my cat. Whoops. So I had to, thankfully they have, in a lot of airports now, they have these little pet areas where it's actually really cool. You can go and like clean off your pet. You can let them out of their carriers. There's like little AstroTurf in there. There's a giant sink. There's like a little shower area if you need to clean them. And that saved me. I took her in there and cleaned her up. But I don't know. I was sleeping, so I don't know how long the people around me had to suffer with that smell. So, will it be a clown show? Yeah, we'll do a clown show. I had my picture from That was my clown nose picture was I took that after I went to clown school for a little while, and I took that after clown school. All right, you all, I'm going to go ahead and head off. My leg is very much asleep, and I'll see you later tonight. Have a really good day. It was nice to see a lot of you that I haven't seen in so long. A show about Kamala. I'll have to pull up some. There's this girl on TikTok that does the funniest impression of Kamala. I'll have to pull some of those videos so we can watch it. It's really funny. Really funny. Okay, good to see you. Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you, Sir TDS, John, Miles, Neil. Good to see you. Okay, hope to see you tonight. All right, bye, everyone. See ya.